It's Halloween, and that means a Halloween costume build. Every year, I go a little bit overboard compared to the average person in my Halloween costumes. But that's okay because Halloween gives me an excuse to do a project I don't typically do, something that's completely out of the normal realm of project I do, and that is a cool costume. I don't really go to many conventions or anything. I just like building stuff. This year I decided I'm doing Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. I've just always liked that character. I just have a running list of different costumes and characters and things that I think would either be cool to build or would be sufficiently creepy for Halloween. I think Halloween costumes should be scary, so I usually gravitate towards that. Scorpion's been on my list for a long time. I didn't really have the arms for it, but I thought, you know what? I can just put some sleeves on this guy and you put my own twist on this costume. So that's what I'm doing. Last year I did The Mandalorian. I wish I had done videos of that because it'd be fun to relive and rewatch that project, but I didn't, so I can't. But that's a fun project, and this Scorpion build is really going to be a lot like The Mandalorian. You know, there's some foam armor. EVA foam is a staple of, cosplaying and prop making. I mean, you can't do that. It's very versatile, very lightweight, which weight is always a factor. So this portion, this is really the logistical part of how I choose my costumes, how I break it down. There's not going to be a lot of building yet because we've just started. But what I did to start, I just Googled Scorpion Mortal Kombat because I know there's a lot of versions of the game. I played the first couple of versions way back in the day, and Scorpion's always my character. Haven't played any of the recent iterations, so I just looked at what's out there. There's a lot of different Scorpions, and so I picked one. I was like, oh, this will be fun. There's a lot of detail because I like a costume with detail. Like you think back to Mortal Kombat 1, where it's just black robes, yellow tunic. There's just not enough detail to make that costume interesting. Like you need a lot of cool little details. And the MK11 Scorpion has like little rings hanging off his shoulders. He's got shoulder armor, bracers. The tunic has all these detailing down the side. He's got the undershirt. There's a lot going on in the costume, so I really like that. And I want a costume that's going to be fun to build, and this one is definitely that. So once I decided, hey, this is it. First I found the picture. I thought, oh, this is cool. This is what I want to do. Then I wanted to figure out which game is it from. It's from MK11. So that's how we arrived there. So then from that point, I began breaking down the elements of the costume. And so I've got a lot of reference pictures just so I know, so you can kind of see it from all angles. The bad thing is with some of these costumes, you don't see a lot of pictures from the rear. So I've been watching gameplay footage trying to get an idea of, all right, are there any details on this costume? Are there any details on this costume I'm missing? So I break it down. What makes up this costume, and what is the most crucial part of the costume? Because I'm always concerned about not finishing by October. I like having a hard cutoff date, but there's always the issue of you may not finish. So what's the most important part of the Scorpion costume? I kind of feel like it's the yellow tunic. You put that yellow tunic on, it's going to look like Scorpion no matter what. Now, the second most important part is really the helmet. He's got the half mask thing. I don't like to be seen in a Halloween costume. I want to be completely who knows who's under that mask. And Scorpion, a lot of the games, he has this finisher where it's his skull face. I'm like, okay, I really want to incorporate a skull face in that. I'm going to do the half mask. My plan is to do the half mask over the skull face. I'm going to do sunglasses, with the sunken eyes so I can still see, but just completely black eyes. That's just a sufficient level of creepiness for me, and that's what I want. Nobody's going to be able to actually see me, but all my friends, they know it's me just by the level of detail in the costume. It's unavoidable. So I broke it down. I've got a tablet here because I've taken a lot of notes. First I break it down. There's the cloak, there's the tunic, there's the hood and the face mask. There's, this skull mask I'm going to do with the lenses. There's also the belt. So the typical MK11 belt is just like a leather belt with a little buckle. That's not very cool, but I saw a variation of it's kind of like this big belt with a skull in the center, and I like skulls, so I'm going to tweak this costume to add that skull belt buckle. Then you have the undershirt, the gambeson. I know gambeson, that's medieval. I don't know what it's called for ninja style. I'm going to add sleeves, and I always think about texture. And so when I first was doing this, I thought, oh, am I going to do a diamond weave pattern on the tunic? I kind of want to stick to the reference material. I kind of like to do my own thing too. But since I'm going to do the diamond weave on the sleeves, I'm adding sleeves, well, I'm not going to do it on the tunic. That's just too much. I want to mix and match my materials and my textures. From there, I've got the pants. And so the pants, they're these really billowy, ninja pants. And that's going to be something I thought about. Do I make this from scratch? I've shown all types of costume parts before, but I thought, it's just going to be easier if I can find a pair of pants that fits my price range that I can just buy. I will need to modify them because you have to modify everything when you're making a costume. But I've got the pants down. You've got the van braces, the bracers on the arms. Those are three. There's 3 pieces. There's buckles. There's straps. Then you've got the chain, the hook, the spear. That's like the Scorpion's calling card there, which the spear is actually a kunai. I'm learning all kinds of things. I like to know the technical aspect of these names. If I'm calling something by an inaccurate name, please let me know in the comments. What is the right name for it? Because I want to know. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to figure it out. Like I searched for ninja pants, and there's something that says, oh, these are actually called X. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm always trying to search, and because I want to call it by the right name. I want to know what it is. You got the shin guards. You know, there's rope there. I forgot the shoulder. There's the shoulder armor. There's got tassels and leather and rope and all kinds of things going on. There are the shoes. And so those are all the parts of the costume. So that's the first step I do. I list out, all right, what makes up this costume? From there, I do a second pass. And I start detailing, like, all right, what are the materials? For the tunic, what's the material of that? I have some materials on hand. I like to use what I have on hand, but also want to try and be authentic. It's kind of fun to try and craft something to make it look like this video game, to bring it to life. So I detail, like the hood. The hood has pleats down the side. It's actually got red on the inside, which actually is going to be a really cool look. With this skull face mask I want to do, like red on the inside of the hood, you can kind of give this cool like effect, and this red glowy, like, you know, burning from hell type effect. So I really like that. The tunic, I mean, there's like kind of like a weave pattern on the outside of it. There's piping on the inside. There's like this imprint leather. There's a lot going on there that I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm going to take notes. And you know, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to start templating things like the tunic. You know, how far out does it come on the shoulders? How far down does it hang? You know, all these things I just kind of sketch out, figuring out how it works. And thinking about this skull mask, I don't want to scratch build that. I looked for a life-size skull that I could buy, and you know, dimensions are kind of sketchy. Like, you don't really get a good idea of exactly how big this thing is. I looked for the biggest one I could find, and I went plastic. The resin looks cooler, but the plastic, I know if I need to, I can just split that and section cut that to make it wider and make it deeper if I need to, because it needs to fit my face. I like for it to be rather snug. I don't want it to look like I'm some bobblehead with an oversized head, so I want to make sure that works right. And I do like the half mask. You know, MK11, it's like kind of has this skull, like nostril effect. I do want to add some mesh texture to it. You know, it's all kind of like the same texture. Again, I like to play with the textures. And I mean, the half mask, I probably would just do it out of like the craft foam. It seems to be some things I've done in plastic. I might could do that in rigid plastic. I don't know if I need to. I mean, it might be fine just do it in foam, and foam's always lightweight, which is helpful. The belt from MK11, like, it's very thick. It's kind of padded. It's got, you know, it's hard to tell material. Like in video games, everything kind of looks like the same material. You don't really get a good idea of texture. But I like how that's kind of big and massive. I'm going to do that skull in the center, and it's got some filigree going around the edge. I'm going to try to capture all that. So in MK11, his undershirt looks like just like kind of a red G type thing. It swoops down low around the armpits. Well, I'm going to do full sleeves. I want to do black, but I do want to do like some red stripes underneath. You know, I want to capture the red in the center. For his shoulder pauldrons, there's like a there's a metal O-ring right in the middle. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how big do I think that is. I'm thinking it's about 2 inches. Coming down from the armor, there's like a metal plate with leather straps and a D-ring. Well, actually, it's technically an O-ring in the game, but the D-ring looks better because your leather strapping comes down, it's got straight edge. So the D-ring just looks better. It fits better. Those look to be about 1.5 inches. I'm just kind of, you know, you scale things off of it, scale things off me. How big does it look on me? It's always a game of sketching it out, seeing what it looks like. All the shin and arm armor, it's got these rivets on the side. I do have rivets already, which is handy. The less stuff I have to buy. So I always try to keep my costs down as much as I can. I always think about, well, if I do have to buy this part for the costume, is there a way I could use it in a future build? So for the chain, the kunai, I mean, that I've got to do real chain. Like, you can get plastic chain. I do plan to get some plastic chain because to me the costume needs more chain. Like, I want to see on his arm, like the armor for his arms, I want to see some chain wrapping around there. I definitely want chains around the belt. But I gotta use some. I want to use real chain around the belt area because I want it to kind of clink, get that sound, and just a great effect. And his like main kunai chain, that needs to be metal, so that when I'm holding it, you know, it's got the weight to it. The physics look right, and you know, when it's sliding around through my hands, you can hear that metal clinking effect. Like, you just got to do it. It's got to be legit. Now the actual spear, I don't know what that's gonna be. I mean, yeah, it'd be funny to do it in metal, but you have to make these costumes at least somewhat safe if you're doing cons. Somewhat safe for cons. So I don't know if I don't know how to do that. I don't know if I add some kind of weight to the middle of it. I think foam is a good material for this spear, for the kunai. Maybe it needs to be metal with wrapped in foam, so it's soft and padded, but it still has the weight to it. That's something I got to figure out. I've not quite gotten there. So from there, once I've detailed out what the pieces are, the details on what makes up these pieces, then it's starting to figure out, well, what do I need to purchase to get this costume going? The good thing is, I do these costumes every year, so you build up a pretty good inventory of different things, like the rivets I need for the armor. Well, I've already got a bunch of rivets. I've already got a bunch of material and leather and foam. I mean, I always have craft foam on hand, so I have a good bit of stuff on hand. which cuts down my cost because, you know, these things get a little pricey building all these costumes from scratch. And then you gotta figure out, like, where is the best place to buy things? You know, Amazon's kind of go-to, but for a lot of like crafty stuff like this, for dies, for D-rings and O-rings and, you know, Hobby Lobby or Michael's, whatever may be near you, they usually have a better price than Amazon. I did buy, so, you know, Scorpion has kind of the ninja shoes. It's got the split toe where the big toe and the rest of the toes are split in the shoe. And that looks really cool, but it's kind of pricey. While I like to be authentic, at the same time, I'm always budget conscious. So I went with just plain black wrestling shoes. I found some on sale for a really good deal. And my thought also is that I might can use those in a future build more readily than I could like the ninja shoes, despite how good the ninja shoes might look. I don't really think people are going to be looking at my shoes. I'm hoping they're going to be freaked out by my skull face and this huge chain I'm holding. So let's go through the parts I already have. It does make things a little bit cheaper and a little bit easier. So I do already have some black dye. I mean, there's a bunch of little pieces to the costume that require black dye. I've got all kinds of leather. Now, I just like something like this, I'd have to dye because there's no light blue, gray leather. Like this brown, that'd be perfect for these straps just to begin with. You know, I also got this tan leather. I could dye that brown if I needed to. It just depends on how much I need. I mean, there's a lot of straps, but it's not going to take that much leather. Also, I have this bag of like smaller scraps. I might could use some of that. I've used that. I've been using that for years. I mean, that has been just an absolute boon as far as material because I've used so much of that. This is wool. I thought about making the tunic out of wool. Part it just depends on how stuff drapes. This is a little bit thicker, so it drapes a little differently than, say, this muslin. It's a lot thinner. A lot of times when I do use this muslin in costumes, and I use it a lot. It's very versatile. It's got a great weave to it. I don't know if you can quite see that weave. I usually do it a double thickness because if you just do single thickness, you can see how thin that looks. Double thickness makes it look a little bit better, hang a little bit better. And if I use this, I can just dye it yellow, just like Scorpion's tunic, right from the bat. This gray, I'll have to strip the original dye out of it and then re-dye it. I don't know. I mean, I don't think his tunic's really is wool. It's kind of hard to tell, but this does have kind of a nice square weave to it. So I may use this. I need to kind of wear it and just see how it drapes and how it feels, because a lot of stuff I just base on how I feel. That's just some gray vinyl. You know, I just like to have it on hand. You never know what you might use it for. These are my rivets. I got those in hand, so I don't have to buy that. I've got craft foam. I plan to use this for the mask, and I could use just some polystyrene and plastic. I don't know. I mean, I like to have it a little bit soft. Just makes it easier to conform to my face. EVA foam floor mats. I mean, you can't beat those. I mean, those things are so versatile. I've used EVA foam, I think, on every costume I've made in some form or fashion. This is a Pioneer speaker grill. Now, it is way too see-through. I mean, you can see right through that. So I have to put it back into that. But I just want Scorpion's face mask. I just want some cutouts for just this mesh. I like this texture, and I really want to use it somehow. This is my box of just scrap parts. I wanted to try to use this skull. You can see, like, this mouth area is so narrow, it looks a little cartoony, so I'm going to have to buy a skull for the belt. I mean, I thought this would have been perfect for the belt. And size-wise, it is. But I don't know, man. It just doesn't, like, the mouth is too narrow. And the belt's going to be a focus. So I got to fix that. So you can see my table. It's got all this paper on it because I use that for sketching. You see I've been sketching out sizes of chain. This is a piece of chain I actually have. It is automotive chain. It is safety rated. Well, I think it's going to be way too heavy. It's very thick, very bulky. This is also some chain like, you know, quarter. I'm trying to figure out which chain I need. So I'm just kind of sketching out what size it looks like. And some of this stuff you almost need to just hold in person. I do have a few pieces of chain, and I'm going to try those out and just see how heavy they are, how they feel, how they look. Does the scale look right? Scorpion's a big dude, and I'm not as big as him. Like, my arms aren't as massive. So, I mean, I was looking like he's got this, you know, like wrist guard, you know, kind of like backing plate, got a big piece going down his forearm, and then like a little cap with another cap on the elbow. And so there's 3 straps around his arm. Well, if I did 3 straps around my arm, it'd be nothing but straps. So I'm going to probably streamline it to make it just 2 straps, you know, one at the wrist, one towards the elbow. Whereas, you know, it's more strapping, it's more buckles I have to buy. It's just so much stuff. And I try to streamline everything because I don't want to have so many little pieces to put on. I try to streamline everything to where it's very easy to put the costume on. You know, some of these things you made it like you see in the video games, it's not practical. So to figure out which size chain I need, I got to test it out with some real chain and this is automotive safety chain. The links are 7/16 of an inch wide, basically half an inch. And this thing is heavy. I mean, really heavy. And so I'm wearing a painter suit. This thing's rusty and dirty. I don't want to ruin my clothes on this. Just get a feel. I mean, this thing's going to wrap around my arm. I mean, this thing is heavy, very heavy. try not to get all dirty. I mean, good gosh, man, that's putting my arm pretty tight. And so there's going to be like a length of chain. You know, the way Scorpion's costume works, he's got the chain wrapped around his arm. He's got a length of it, and that's just too heavy. I mean, to do as much as I want, I mean, let's see. I think I need a length, something like that, or I could kind of hang it like this. If I drop that, about the right length, but man, if I drop that, it'd pull my arm off. 7/16 like safety chain, that's just too heavy, a little too bulky. I have some more chain around here. So this chain is just like 1/4 of an inch in diameter. And this, I mean, just a lot lighter. When I wrap around my arm, it's not, I don't think it's going to pull my arm off. Again, I don't have quite the length. You know, the longer the length, the more weight it's going to be. But this just is a lot easier to hold. And when you look at the reference pictures, you look at the way the links look in Scorpion's hand, this scales a lot better to my hand. So I think this is what I need to go with. So, but the thing is, you look online, a lot of it is just rating chain based on how much weight it can hold. It doesn't tell you the size and the individual lengths, which is what I need, because I don't care about the weight. This is all just for aesthetics. So I think I'm probably going to have to go to a big box home improvement store, just look at their chain, see if I can get links about this size, because this links, it looks good. It's not super heavy. I mean, the links are half the size, probably half the weight, if not more than, or less than half the weight. So I figured that out. The next thing is figure out how much chain do I actually need. I need enough for the chain to kind of spread so I can kind of hold it out with the chain dangling, wrapped around my arm. I want a few links around my waist, just, you know, when I'm walking, I want to hear that sound, man. That's kind of menacing, and I want to go for that. So I think this is just called a soft ruler. I don't know. If you do a lot of costuming and making cloth parts, sewing, it is invaluable. So I know that basically for this chain, I want enough to where you can kind of hold it about this width. So I think, yeah, about like this. I need enough length where there's a chain kind of dangling off the end of it like that. So let's see, this whole thing is 60 inches. 60 inches. Let's see. I'd want at least 3 loops around my arm. I think that'd just look cool. My chain's not going to come out of like my wrist or out of my hand. I don't know how it is in MK11. And this stuff's thinner, so I have to count for, you know, actually even bigger. I think I need at least 5 feet just to hold. I don't know, maybe I could get away with 4 right there. I mean, 4, that's a pretty good amount. So let's say 4, another what? I think another 8 just for the kunai, the spear, to hang off the end. How much do I need to wrap around my arm? I want at least 3 loops. Now I gotta figure out exactly how I'm gonna attach it. 3 loops, that's about 2 feet. So we say 4, that's 6. About 7 feet just for the spear portion. Now I need to figure out how much is going to wrap around my waist, and I don't exactly know how big. I don't think I want it to go all the way around, because I need a way for it not to droop in the back, so it will be adding a little bit of weight. I think 3 on each side. That's 3, that's 6. So it's about 13 feet of chain is what I'm coming up with. I may go 14, just, you know, a little bit, it's not going to hurt. Looking at the big box store, it's going to be about $1 and change a foot. So that's 14 bucks a chain. That's not too bad. The only downside is everything in the big box store, it's the zinc plated, it's nice, shiny silver. I don't need that. So I'm going to have to figure out how to get that nice, shiny silver finish off. In this case, I think I might have to find somebody with a sandblaster so I can just blast it. That'll give it a steel look, but that's okay, and that'll make it a little easier. Then I can just spray it after that. The zinc, I mean, you could probably spray paint the zinc as is, but the shinier the finish, the less likely paint's going to stick. So I think if I sandblast it, that's going to rough it up a little bit to where the paint should adhere a little bit. And, you know, I'll just go through some other techniques to get that chain looking the way I want it. So that is the plan. I need, what did I say, 14 feet of chain. So I'm going to make a note of that. So I got this white paper all over my table so I can make all these notes and scribble and keep coming back to it and revising things. I make a lot of templates too. I mean, I'm going to be making templates for every piece of armor, for every piece of cloth, because I like to know before I start making it that it's about in the right arena. So one aspect of the costume I'm not doing, well, I don't plan to do, is that Scorpion does have 2 daggers, tantos. I'm not quite sure what the technical term is. You know, the little samurai swords on his belt. I typically don't do weapons for Halloween costumes just because, you know, guns and blades and everything to make people a little wary. And plus, it's not like I can do a real sword. I don't want to get into all that with a real sword, anything sharp. So I typically shy away from weapons. If I have time, I may do his tanto blades. If not, I don't know. It's one other thing that just is going to hit me in the leg. It's going to get in the way. I mean, these handles are long. It's a nuisance. So I have ordered some few things I need. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I don't really need. I can get started. But the first thing of anything is just templating. I will look at my reference pictures. I'll see where, like I'm going to start with the tunic. To me, that's most important, followed by the hood, the mask. So I'm going to see where does the tunic hit Scorpion on the shoulders? How does the neck fit? You know, does it hit right in the solar plexus? Does it hit below, higher, lower? How far does it come down? Because this tunic, I'm probably going to sew the whole thing together so it's kind of one big piece. I may even sew it into the undershirt and sleeves, so it's just one big thing and a slip on. That's stuff I'm going to figure out as I template it, but I just want to get an idea of how big it is. The piping and the weaving down the side and edges of the tunic, well, how wide do I think that is? You know, how am I going to make that? And all that shit, I'm going to just sketch it and re-sketch it, and I will cut it out of paper. I've got all kinds of different sizes of paper. I'll just cut it out. I kind of put it on this paper version to see, all right, how does it look? You know, do I think the shoulder's going to be in or out? Is it long enough? And I'll fine tune that. I'll take pieces on. I'll cut pieces off until I'm getting to where I think, all right, I think this is pretty close to accurate. Let me sharpen my material and then get it going. And that's basically how every piece of the costume is built. I just make template after template, refining it, trying it on, seeing, you know, how does it fit on my arm? Does this armor, does it fit right? Does it need to be smaller? Does it need to be thicker? Like, how does it all fit together? So that is the introduction for how I'm going to get started. Next I'll be actually starting the template, and you'll see me sketching, doing all those kinds of things. And this is going to be a fun build. I'm really excited about this build. I'm very excited to get started. I mean, I realized last week that, hey, Halloween is coming up. I need to figure this thing out. And I looked at my list of everything I had, and Scorpion just jumped off the page. I was like, man, I've got to do Scorpion. And then when I saw like this newest rendition of Scorpion with all the detail, I thought, oh man, this is just perfect. Like that costume, there's so much detail to it. It's just going to be awesome. One thing I don't think I mentioned in all the different parts of the costume is that he's got, like, for lack of better terms, like these towels coming off where they're black and red, and there's a nice detail also in the costume. There's just so much going on with this costume, like so much that catches the eye, and I love costumes like that. You know, if Scorpion still looked like he did from the original MK game, where it's just, you know, black suit, yellow tunic, I probably wouldn't build that. There's not enough there to catch my interest. But this costume, and there's a lot going on with this. That's going to be a lot of fun.